Hi guys, me again. I just wanted to record the video as promised for trying to break apart what exactly we mean when we talk about a 7.5 or 15-minute quadrangle of a map. Um, so we looked at those topographic maps in class, and they are measured. We talked about map projections. They're measured with degrees of latitude and degrees of longitude. And the degree, remember, the whole degree symbol is broken apart into minutes and seconds when we talked about DMS format for coordinates, degrees, minutes, and seconds. So a whole degree, a circle, a sphere, there are 360 degrees around the circle. So let's see if I can use my pen here on this. I don't have my whiteboard and I'm bothered by it. So if I were to go all the way around the circle of the globe, that's 360 degrees. We know this, right? So when we talked last time about the degrees of longitude, we said, or latitude, we said 0 was the equator. We've got about 30-ish is the Tropic of Cancer in the northern hemisphere, about 60-ish, that's the tropic, the Arctic Circle in the northern hemisphere, and then we've got our North Pole at 90, because we are going from 0 up to 90. That's a quarter of the way around the circle, so 90 degrees, because 90, if we were to split this up into 4 equal parts, we'd have 90 degrees up here in the first quadrant, 90 degrees over here, 90 here, 90 here, 360, right? I'm going to erase some of that so I have a clean slate. So we've got this, right? You can see that here at the very center of the Earth, that's our origin here of this grid. And we've got, if we go straight out to the equator, that's this line right here. We're going straight out to the equator. So it's flat, horizontal, if you will, on this sphere. This angle right here, remember geometry, we have this angle here. That angle is 30 degrees off from the equator in the north direction. So this is projecting this angle out, if you're watching my hand, out onto the surface of Earth. So it's just this angle from the center out to the surface is 30 degrees at the surface, right? That's a huge area. You can see on this map, this is like the 30 degree. That's like this whole north part of Africa. That's a huge map. And when we are looking for topographic maps, we want more detail than that. These are maps that hikers use, that people use when they are working on planning out roads through different areas, especially if you're in like the mountains and things. If you are someone who's in charge of safety in areas or search and rescue for something, or you're trying to plan out where to find different things at, resources. Is it worth it to go digging for minerals in this area? Can we even plan an open pit mine there? Is it worth it to plant a city here? How about building codes, grading roads, all this type of things? You want more detail. So the closer you can get in, the more detail you have, it's better. So this is too much, 30 degrees. I want to zoom in to just 1 degree, right? So I could take this 30 degrees, do my erase here, and smidge it out to just 1 degree of latitude. Okay. So this is my new angle over here, my poor little marker here. 1 degree of latitude that projects at the surface up here. Right there. So that's what I am looking at, but that's still too much, a whole degree of latitude. Remember we talked about how we're at the 42nd degree north latitude, and up at the Gaylord area in Michigan is 45th degree parallel. So 45 degrees halfway between the equator and the North Pole. So that's a 3-degree difference. Covers like half of the state of Lower Peninsula of Michigan. So that's a lot, and we still need more detail. So we're going to zoom in. If we wanted to shrink that degree in half, right? Remember we talked about how there's 1 degree is equal to 60. Let's see if I can do this. I feel like a preschooler. Minutes. So if I wanted to look at half a degree, I would be looking at 30 minutes of latitude. This is not minutes on a clock. This is minutes of latitude. It's a distance measurement, not a time measurement. It's the same word in a different context. The same way that you might be looking at like refuse and refuse, right? Are you saying no or is it trash? It's like the same word but in a different context type of thing. Same pronunciation though. So 1 degree is 60 minutes. If I want to break this up distance-wise into less of a degree, I need to use minutes and seconds. So if I want a 7.5 minute, that's 7.5 over here, minute, is equal to some fraction of a degree. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm breaking this piece here at the surface into something that's even smaller to look at. And that's really all it is. It's just a fraction of a degree of an angle. So this is the same if you are in math. I don't know if they have the same terminology in algebra, if they call it a fraction of a degree a minute, or if they even have that in math. But it would be the same if you were figuring out angles on a triangle or a shape, and you calculated an angle to be less than 1 degree. You could break it into 60 minutes geographically and say that it's, X number of minutes of an angle. And that's really what it is. When I talk about minutes and seconds and all of that, I'm talking about fractions of an angle, fractions of a degree of an angle. And I really hope this helps you understand. If not, I can keep talking about it in different ways, see if something jogs a thought that makes you connect with this. But I just need you to tell me if this is something that is still really sticky. But the best way for you to make sure that you absolutely know this is going to be if you teach it to someone else, right? So we talked about that in class. Find literally anybody that you can talk to. Bother one of your coworkers. Annoy your boss. Find your friend. Talk to a stuffed animal. I don't care. Imaginary friend. Find the ghost that lives in your closet and teach them about this. And if you still are not understanding it after that, come back to me. I know it sounds ridiculous to try and communicate this to someone else when you're still confused about it, but I promise that's the best way to figure out if you know what you're doing. I'll see you guys next time.